How's it going, guys? I'm Mike. If you catch me in game or in one of my socials, I go by Hot. In today's video, we're just going to do a quick recap of the latest dev Q&A. And I got footage from one of my latest streams playing in the background, so we have something to look at. At any rate, right off the bat, we asked them about pets. Are we ever going to have pets in space? We need Boo for Jump Space mascot, guys. At any rate, for those who don't know, Boo is the hamster that Gullus, one of the devs, has and showed us in the Discord. Would love to have him in game. Just saying. But anyway, they said we're going to be focusing on stability instead because that's a higher priority. They did say maybe, though. Which was one of the main points that they brought out. Stability is something that really needs some work. They are going to be putting in work into stability, especially for Xbox players. And so with the next coming update, they're going to be putting in quite a bit of that. And when can we expect that update? They said sometime before Christmas, maybe a week or two before. Next up, they mentioned player traits. They said that player traits is something that is coming in the next content update. How is that going to work, basically? Well, when we first started hearing about player traits, it was going to be more or less suit traits. It was going to be something that was going to be tied to the suit you were wearing. But they've clarified on what they're working on now is player traits that are going to be unlocked from unlocking pieces of gear, suits, and as well as from leveling up. And then once those are unlocked, you can use them freely no matter what suit you're wearing. So it won't be tied specifically to the suits. You'll be able to look how you want and have whatever traits you want. They said they're going to be a 5-point system. There's going to be 5 points that you have access to as your player traits. And some traits will be one trait, and so you'll be able to fit 5 of those types of traits in a suit or your system. And then other traits will be more expensive and maybe take up all 5 points that you have available to you, so it'll vary. They said that those player traits will be affecting things like your multi-tools and such. They said they're going to be primarily combat focused in the beginning, and they will be limited in the beginning, but more will be getting added. They said things will be one suggestion trait being like you get a buff to your damage when you're around your friends if you're playing in multiplayer. Next up, they mentioned improvements for Buddy. So they said basically start right now, the way that it's working is that you'll be able to ping specific ships and have him target those when he's in the combat station, and he will have a command wheel that any player will be able to interact with that will basically tell him, don't craft this, don't use the combat station, don't go with me on foot. So it'll basically be a way to shut down certain actions. Like I know for myself personally, it's been a real pain where he has crafted something when I'm trying to store up material for something specific, and the thing that he crafted wasn't as important to success as the thing I was trying to craft, and so it was a bit of a pain in the butt. So being able to tell him don't do that will really come in handy. Next up, the rest of this was mostly from the Q&A. They discussed inventory. They said that we are going to get a rework to the inventory system. They hear players, they understand they're not satisfied with it. They didn't give us any real details on what that is going to be, but they did say that they have something in the works that they're planning to roll out eventually. Now, all these things at this point was stuff that they clarified is not going to be coming in Content Update 2. So this is stuff that is in the works, but don't expect it with the next update. Anything that gets added, they said it'll be bonus. The big things are buddy improvements, player traits, and stability. On crashing rewards. So you're part of the way through the mission. We'll say that you're on the final jump and then the game crashes or your system crashes. And they said that they understand, they hear you, that it's a pain. It's so punishing for players to be losing all that loot and everything. So what they said they're going to do is they're going to start making it to where the loot on the ship, the rewards that you would be getting should you complete the mission, you'll be getting about 75% of that if you have to back out of the mission or if your game crashes, as a way to kind of alleviate that rub, that pain that is caused by losing everything when it crashes. They did mention also that this game right now, they're trying not to define it with a specific genre. They said they mentioned roguelites or something like that. They really don't want to pin it down with a set kind of rules. They kind of want to leave it open so that they can craft whatever is going to be appealing to them and to the fan base. So they kind of wanted to keep things open in that regard. I'm sure that once we get to 1.0, we'll probably have set genre that will be pegged down on Steam and the Xbox store, but right now they're trying not to define it if they can help it in order to leave room for creativity. They mentioned a problem that people have been having with griefing. I personally haven't experienced this much, but I can see the potential for it. They said that they originally weren't planning for that to be a thing because originally there was no weapon carryover. But now if there is weapon carryover, people can team kill and then steal your gear, and so they're trying to do something about that. That wasn't originally a planned problem, but now that it is an issue, they're trying to do things, maybe make it to where rocket launchers are less likely to take you out, that kind of thing. But they didn't give us too many specific details on what they're doing there. Then they mentioned ship headlights. They briefly said that the headlights right now are not going to be such that you can control them. They're going to be in such a way that you are basically having them automatic. When you jump to a sector that is dark, the headlights on the ship will come on, and then when you leave that sector, they'll turn off. Kind of like if you have automatic lights on an automobile. Larger ships. They said that we're going to get larger ships, and we're going to get ship guns that we can manage potentially from the exterior of the ship. It was asked whether or not we'd ever have larger ships with an extra combat station, and they said yes, but they also said we're also talking about adding things like you'll be able to control a cannon from the exterior of the ship. Makes me think of the LAATs from Star Wars. I'll throw up a quick image of that, but it had cannons on the exterior that clones would sit inside and would man on the exterior of the ship, rather than sitting as a combat station inside the ship. And I thought that was pretty cool. That kind of idea would actually fit nicely into this game, and I think it's really cool if they're going in that direction. Next was asked about larger ships that we could destroy from the interior, and they said yes, they're coming. In fact, that's a boss concept that they're working on. They're going to have bosses that are going to be larger ships, bosses that are going to be on-foot bosses. That's something that they're working on, and they plan to add to the game, so that's something that we can look forward to. Then they briefly touched on the auto jump feature. Some missions, when you complete them, a cutscene plays and then you automatically jump out of the sector. And if you don't have your gear on you, when that happens, you'll lose it. And they said they understand that pain point, that is not working. They don't like it and how it's playing out, and they plan to do away with it. They said that there will be fewer cutscenes than we currently have and in missions, and the plan is to do away with the auto jumps entirely. So they didn't go into a whole lot of detail other than saying that auto jumps will be gone. You'll be able to choose when you leave, so you will have the gear that you want on you when it happens. Next, they mentioned that Coleon specifically said he really wants to have biological aliens in the game, and that is something that they are planning on bringing to the game. So that is something that we could expect in the near future. He did also mention, Groove briefly mentioned he would like scarier areas, like a region on the map where things are just kind of scary and the biological aliens are creepy. We don't know. They didn't go into too much detail there. They did say that that's something that is in the works, something that they're talking about. Coleon said biological goop and things like hanging from the ceiling and stuff. I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see what they cook up there. Then specifically on the subject of space sharks, which is something that has been heavily discussed in the Discord. There have been a lot of fans that have been asking for space sharks. Apparently jetpacking is too safe. They did say that they do plan to acknowledge that in some capacity. They didn't go into a great deal of detail on it, but they did say that they have something in mind to kind of throw a nod to these players. They've been requesting this and clamoring for it for some time now. So if you're one of those that's looking forward to that, you got something to look forward to, guys. All right, next they mentioned the holiday cosmetics and the holiday events. The thing with those is that they are set on a specific amount of time. You can only do them during the holiday season, specific to that holiday event. However, they will come back each year. So even though there will be new ones added each year, we just had our Halloween event where you could get that jack-o'-lantern helmet, they said that that'll be back next year as well, along with a new one. So anybody that missed out will be able to get it then. And they did say that we'll get something for Christmas as well. They didn't go into detail, and they did say it's not going to be big. It's just going to be a little nod to it. Clearly they're working on the game and more important issues right now, but they did want to kind of throw out a little nod to things and, you know, a little something for the players. So that's coming. Then they said lobby browser edits. Basically, they want to make it to where the lobby browser is more descriptive. When you're trying to find a random person to play with, the lobby will be more descriptive is one of the things they're looking into. Maybe telling you what the player is doing, whether or not they're in mission, what kind of mission it is, those kinds of details, just to try and make it a little bit easier on people. Weapon customization and multi-tool variants, they said, are coming. So basically, the ability to customize your weapons and various different kinds of multi-tools. They have previously, not in this particular Q&A, but they have in previous times mentioned maybe a machine gun multi-tool, maybe a melee weapon multi-tool. You know, it's we don't know a lot yet, but they did say we will get variants, and so that should be fun. Something more than just the pistol. Then they mentioned weekly challenges, that they want to add weekly challenges to the game. It's not a high priority at this time, but they do want, it is something they want to add, like maybe to add a extra challenge, maybe a mission where your ship has no shields or something to that effect. Just a weekly thing that you can do to kind of keep you entertained, to give you an extra challenge, and kind of something more for you to do in game. Then they briefly mentioned the hatches for the dart. They said that they're adding an animation. They want to keep it under 4 seconds, but basically to show you climbing in and out of the hatches, and that those hatches will probably be coming to other things, such as enemy ships, different levels, and other ships. Maybe the catamaran will get them at a higher mark. And they did briefly mention that other ships will be getting higher marks. Probably not in this update, but it is coming. And then they mentioned that it is very punishing if you fail right now because you lose your gear, and they want to address that in some manner. They didn't specify how they're going to do that, but they do want to look into it and look into options to try and make things less punishing, so it doesn't really carry over and punish you for the next mission as well. Minigames. Minigames are apparently something that are very important to Kolianos. He said that they are coming. They're going to be in the game. It's something he's always wanted in the game. They didn't really give us too many details, but we do know that minigames are something that will be added to the game eventually. As for the football and the grenades that people have been clamoring about, and fair. I mean, the football was in the demo and we all loved it, but that is something that will be coming back. The grenades will be coming at about that time. Grenades were originally in the demo, and they had to be removed because they didn't play well with the physics, as the football didn't play well with the physics. When you kick the football, for some reason, it was causing people to crash. Internet issues, connectivity issues. So it got temporarily removed, and they threw in that little note by Bose telling us, sorry, I broke the ball in the pump. I'll get it fixed soon. Anyway, so that's something that they're working on. Those things will be coming back. No set time at that right now. At any rate, I hope that you guys are having a great one. I hope that this is helpful to you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.